Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back here at Silver Tears Tarot. Welcome to my new people. So, there's been a lot of energetic activity in the past week or so, and I've mentioned it in a couple of the recent readings. But one thing that's really shown up over the last couple of days is this tendency for your person to run farther away. So, a few of you have reached out to your person only to be rebuffed, and some outright rejected. And some of you were told that your person couldn't or wouldn't be able to reconnect for one reason or another. So you may find yourself in a place of diminished hope. Definitely not a great mood, but diminished hope. So let's do a reading for you then. Let's see, for those people who have, and it doesn't have to have just happened in the last couple days, but for those who were rebuffed, rejected, let's see if you should be making the best of that energy of the full moon in Virgo and letting go. So if you saw the reading yesterday, we really saw that that was kind of a central theme. Or we can also see if there's something else going on. So we're going to check it out here. As always, it's a general reading for all signs, so it won't resonate with everybody. If it does resonate with you, and if it turns out it's your story, there is I would recommend that you subscribe, because all of these readings have been so very much connected, and there may be some good messages in there for you. So we're going to get started with your energetic backdrop, and it's going to be kind of energetic backdrop and trying to pick up on things that are really sticking out for you at this time. um, Between the two of you, if you've just reached out to your person, then this energetic backdrop could be, it's unique to you, but it's also going to be the environment that you're in. So it's a sadness, energy not flowing, emotional energy not flowing. That's the Three of Cups in reverse. It's the sense of emotional energy being cut off and completely not flowing, which matches with what we already know. Let's see what comes out for that, because I didn't expect it to be so blunt. I mean, it's tarot. I should have, but sometimes we have to read between the lines. Not here. So we have the Queen of Wands in reverse. That is not forward motion. Not The Queen of Wands has this ability to move things forward. In the reverse, she's really not having the motivation to move things forward. So let's see what we've got here. All right, so we've got the Witch in this deck. This is like the Magician card in the traditional tarot, and it is a card of manifestation. There's a lot of This is a unique situation where there's a lot of manifestation energy, and we've kind of felt it rising. But there's a lot of manifestation energy, a lot of kind of pent up change energy that's been wanting to happen, and there's been, in some cases, it's full steam ahead, and then all of a sudden everybody has to stop moving forward and wait, and everything gets very suspenseful because there's this feeling of not being able to heal, not being able to move forward, can't go forward or back. It's very suspenseful and uncomfortable, and you guys have been learning how to find comfort in that kind of discomfort. This feeling of manifestation is something that we've been kind of seeing glimmers of, and honestly, it's welcome for those who have been sitting in a place that feels almost like they couldn't move and couldn't do anything about it. There is a sense of being able to move forward a little bit, but the attitude is so somber. It's so sad and generally unmotivated to move forward with the relationship. Like there's this ability and energy to want to do something, but it's not moving forward with the relationship. So what you'll see is them putting a lot of like an empty feeling energy into something else. There's manifestation, but it's not connecting. It's like there's a tube and the manifestation comes through, and then it should theoretically, what you guys want shoots out the other side, but it's disconnected. So there's all this manifestation energy they're putting out, and all this movement forward, but not a lot of actual forward result, as a, and it has to do with, okay, I'm just going to take these two together. It has to do with this Ace of Swords and this Three of Swords, and kind of some of the energy around that. The Three of Swords is the sadness and the brokenheartedness that lives around this whole situation. The Ace of Swords is that new information that we've been seeing come up, and it's coming up for both of you. So we saw it a lot in the beginning of the year, and it was a lot of times it was pointed at your person, this new information that they were having a hard time kind of bringing into their worldview. They were having a hard time assimilating it into how they were going to function. But it was there, and it was like they couldn't unsee it. So that's still true. It's actually true of both of you to a certain degree. But with that comes this feeling of there's a lot that you guys have been admitting to yourselves, under the surface. And so that has been, if you've been feeling kind of this existential difficulty, it's had a lot to do with just kind of trying to absorb these truths and figure out what to do about the sadness. Um, and there's so many things to be happy about, but sometimes that sadness just gets really heavy, and that's one of the things that comes through, um, in this energy. So we've got the Spirit of Wands, which is again that desire to be able to move forward. And this is an ability to be able to move forward, because it is being able to set down part of what is burdening you, what's holding you back. But it's a difficult place to do it, because there's the Six of Swords energy talks about, in the upright, it's about things calming down to the point where you can get a little clarity on the situation. And so, maybe you haven't been to the healing portion of things yet, but at least being able to take stock of things and to understand what's going on. Here in the reverse, it's like things never quite slow down. And so you're able to set down honestly, what you're able to set down is the pressure of things that you can't actually control, which is incredibly valuable, and it frees you up to be passionate moving forward. But with this sense of Eight of Pentacles in reverse and Eight of Cups in reverse, and that's it here. So I'm going to turn these over so I don't confuse anything. Once they stop feeling like they have to be included, I just stop pulling them, and I never know if it's going to be one or two or seven. So anyway, like what I was saying, one of the things that's kind of slowing down the progress, this setting down the burden of what you don't control, is significant, but it's not necessarily being done properly on your person's side. So they may be setting things down, but not really in an effective way. So they're still kind of carrying around some edges of difficult things and not willing to take responsibility for some things that they kind of do need to be taking responsibility for. But it's freeing both of you up. This concept of setting some things down that you don't need to carry is freeing both of you up. So even though you're not getting a ton of clarity, it's still freeing up energy to move forward, but you've got to be careful how you move forward, because you don't want it to be wandering, just like aimless wandering. You don't want that. Also, there's a little bit of, your situation is suffering a little bit from both of you trying to seek out a certain type of emotional stability and emotional self mastery that is eluding you. So we've seen some big strides in this area, here recently, but there is something that is eluding you, and it's a matter of, we kept seeing that death card come out in reverse, and it was like you have to let something die so that something new can grow in its place. And it feels like this Eight of Pentacles is relevant to whatever that thing is that has to stop. So this is kind of the basic energy that is flowing around you and your person right now. So that was kind of a lot. But we're going to jump into like what happened with your person. Some of you, like I said, had conversations and got rejected. It might have been recently, might have been some of you, it was very recently. And some of you, it was a few days ago. I've been hearing it in my inbox for, it started a week and a half ago when all the energy really started shuffling. And it's just kind of risen in frequency since then. So what I want to know here is like, what is making your person so thorny and standoffish? I mean, just not to put too fine a point on it, but that's what I want to ask for you. What is making your person so thorny and standoffish? Okay, so we have the Knight of Swords, and this is almost like a restless energy that just has them jumping into a new direction. It's not necessarily a well calculated new direction, but it's a new direction that has them, kind of moving forward. And I, it's a difficult thing to kind of describe, though, because it's like they jumped in a panic, but they jumped towards something. So let's dig in here a little bit more deeply, see what else we can find. We've got the High Priestess in reverse. That speaks to the lack of connection inside with their higher self, with their intuition. We have the Warrior of Cups, which is how they were able to reach out and be so strong and beautiful at you in the first place, even though they then turned around because of this lack of connection with their intuition, and because of them really not, if you look at the previous readings, and especially if you dig into, I think it was maybe even one of the last extendeds that I did, there was this really strong sense that your person was dealing with something, and we've seen this now in several readings, that your person is dealing with something when they met you, when they came together with you in a meaningful way, and they were already dealing with it, and the interaction with you exacerbated that. They were already not feeling quite right. They were already not knowing how to confront these things. And then when you came, it's kind of like it flipped a switch in them. It caused them to look at some emotions that they had been trying to figure out how to get around. And when you caused them to confront them again, they decided they were just going to jump over it. Like they weren't going to deal with it. They're not going to be allowing themselves to be trapped by it. This is a sense of escape. So we have the feeling of hiding. We have a sense of escape. It's not really like they aren't prepared to face this. It cracked open something that had been dormant in them for a long time. So this is the Ace of Pentacles. And a lot of times the Ace of Pentacles is a door that is opening. In this case, that's true, but like I said, it's one that hadn't seen the light of day for a long time. So all of a sudden, with the Seven of Cups here, you were showing them that there were some options available to them that they had either never thought applied to them or just never even considered before. So you forced them to reevaluate what it was that they wanted. Again, something that we've seen in several of the previous readings. But that doesn't really explain to me why they jumped, because I see that they are. Okay, hold on. Maybe I should have just looked at what was in my hand. What I'm feeling here is a sense of almost it's like a depressive energy, but it's like a shackle. They're shackled to a heavy weight that doesn't allow them to open up. So it doesn't allow them to open up, but it almost doesn't allow them to open up within themselves, which is challenging because they know they're doing it. They're aware of what they're doing. They kind of, this is a person who has a habit of doing this. They run away when things get complicated. And here they ran towards you because they were so magnetized towards you. But then they decided, for whatever reason, that the light was too bright to look at, and they took that boost of strength, and we saw that from a couple of readings back, and used that to catapult themselves in the other direction. This is something that has spurred an outrageous amount of healing in them, because with this boost of strength, it didn't just come and go. It's also something that, so a lot of times strength is really about weighing out over some fear. And so in order for them to come toward you in the first place, they had to win out, the strength had to win out over fear. But then it took more. It took a burst of that strength for them to be able to run away. And they used it to push themselves as far away as possible. But they have also pulled open something that they can't get closed now. They can't unsee this. With the Nine of Wands in reverse, they have figured out that they can no longer tell themselves certain untruths. And so that's the sort of thing that we see coming through here, with the Ace of Swords, and just kind of looking at those new truths that were coming to you guys. It wasn't necessarily new truths that had never been seen before. It was truths that somehow had been able to be ignored or downplayed or otherwise somehow wasn't applying to the situation. But all of a sudden, when we get here, it starts to. And they've made an emotional investment in you, and they can't figure out how to back down from it. And they aren't sure how they would even want to. I mean, so it's this is such a source of frustration. They are deciding that they are going to. Um, there's this sense of running away even after the healing has been sparked. But it has to do with this Warrior of Wands. This is what's really driving it, and this is like it's not just the depression on their part. It's like a deep existential sadness. Like there is something very deep happening here that they don't know how to get past, and they don't even understand that that's what's causing the problem. So if you were to ask them, they would just say, "I don't want this." They wouldn't give you it. They wouldn't be able to talk to you about it. They wouldn't be. It would be strangely different from the way they acted before, when you saw them with their overtures and their love bombing and whatever the situation is, because that love bombing is kind of a narcissist thing, but it's not necessarily what everyone is facing. So I bring it up, but not because I'm saying that your person is a narcissist. All I'm saying is that it's that same kind of concept. And in some cases, that is what's happening. And you guys are probably already, you didn't need me to tell you that. But we're going to look next at where do you go from here? Like, how are you supposed to, should you be holding hope? We've seen in these past readings that you're supposed to have a door, that you leave the door open. And we see that we crack the door open, but we also see in some previous readings that it's like there's a doorstop on both sides. And it's difficult to get the door open all the way in either direction because there are some things in the way. So that means that you would have a hard time even opening that door so that you could allow your person to walk through it. But then ideally, once you do, you are sitting there and not guarding that door. You're not watching it. You're focusing on other things. So if they walk through it, then you deal with what you find there, because some of your people are walking through this door and they are not ready. Like they weren't ready at the beginning and they're not ready now. So let's take a look and see what it is what kind of approach emotionally you could be taking to this one. Because again, you may get a person who is completely standoffish and tells you to go away. You may have somebody that is telling you to, you know, not come back and talk to them again. Just they want the distance. They want the distance, or they may just be completely and totally silent. And they've already performed the rejection, or the it's a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing, but it's happened on some level with all of you, and there's a level of frustration here that has to do with the truths that they've been shown and their inability to deal with them. It's a very high level of frustration. So we've got the Six of Wands that has come out here with regard to kind of your guidance on this and whether you should think about it as maintaining hope. And so the Six of Wands is a card of, in the upright, it is victory after a long battle. In the reverse, it's about not winning that battle, but by the same token, it's not necessarily about just not winning it. Here, it's like theoretically not winning it. So they're not saying, you won't. This is something that you can't be successful. It's something that is saying like you have to be prepared for the possibility of it not being successful, which fits hand in hand with what we've already seen with the door, where they tell you, leave the door open. That's the guidance we've gotten in the past. Leave the door open, and then if your person is able to walk through it, then deal with what you find, because you may be then exercising that lesson in discernment. So we now see the Nine of Cups that has come in here in the reverse, suggesting that there has been some level of this Eight of Cups in reverse, sort of aimless wandering. Make sure that you know exactly what it is that you're going for, and your mind is not on repeat with some obsessive thoughts that are going back and forth, because that's something that I definitely feel in this energy, and it may or may not apply to you. But some of you are suffering from that, and it's a difficult thing because it's making something weigh more in your mind than it would if you were to put it all out on paper, or not necessarily put it all out on paper, but to really think of it. And the thing is, maybe try putting it all out on paper. If you haven't been journaling already, this is a good time to start, because it'll be useful eventually to go back and look at the things that you wrote when you were in different places within this cycle. It's very useful to kind of go back and say, all right, I see where my mind was. I now can understand how far I've come. Because there's a lot of healing that is still required, but there's a lot of healing that has already happened. And so that Four of Swords talks about finding your way to the healing that you still need to do. We just did a reading on lessons a little bit ago here. And that one is going to be maybe a useful thing for you to go check out. We also have the Six of Pentacles, which is a focus area for us during the month of March, and it's about equal give and take. So it's about something that, as you go through every single relationship in your life, you want to make sure that you're looking at the give and take, and that things aren't too far off balance. It's not necessarily going to be equal, when you look at every day, but when you look at the balance of an overall relationship, is that relatively equal? Because what you've experienced, oops, I dropped one. What you've experienced in the past has not been equal in all cases. So we've got the Nymph of Cups. This is a lot like the Page of Cups. In reverse, though, it's about what happens if you don't receive an apology. This is everything about, and we've seen this popping up in readings too. This is everything about finding that closure for yourself, because making sure that you're prepared to open yourself up to give and receive love, even though this situation has probably put you a little bit more emotionally on the defensive than you realize. And so there are definitely some themes that are repeating here, and it's about getting ready for um, just get ready for your own closure, even though you may still receive better closure with this person, because them telling you that they wanted to be involved with you or giving you the impression that they wanted to be involved with you, and that happened in certain different ways. Some people, you've been in a relationship, they've said I love you. Other people, it's been a little bit, not, it hasn't been as formalized as all that. But in all of the cases, there's been this level of what they communicated to you versus what they now are implying or communicating. They may be saying there's not a bond here. They may be saying they're not feeling it. They may be saying that they don't know what to say. And that's actually what I'm getting from it more than anything else, is that feeling of not knowing what to say and kind of spitting something out. So you may be getting the response where they're spitting something out at you. They are not moving through their spiritual awakening just yet. And because of your positioning in all this, you are not being allowed to move through it either. Until you are able to kind of walk away from this situation and create a little distance for yourself, it's going to be really difficult for you to get this clarity here, which it turns out it's pretty important for you to do. So you're making progress despite not having this clarity, but it's going to help you along in your spiritual awakening overall, and it's going to help move you forward despite the fact that there's not necessarily a lot of forward movement coming from the energies of the universe. So sometimes the universe leaves you in a place so that you can work through what's there, knowing that things have to calm down a little bit for you, even if they're not calming down in your real life. There's a sense of them calming down to the point where it feels like it's stagnant. We also have the Mystic coming out. And so this is about finding somebody or something to help offer you a little bit of guidance as you go forward. So that's part of what you're recommended to do, to get to a place where it's okay if they don't find resolution with you right away. If you're the one that is forced to find your own resolution, then it's still going to be okay for you. That's basically the place that you want to get to. I feel like we want one more card. Here we go. And it's the Spirit of Pentacles. Okay, so there's that reminder that it is not necessarily something that goes very quickly. Um, all right, I'm going to leave this here. It's still kind of hard for me to understand why so thorny and standoffish now. Like I get that this is why they're feeling so thorny and standoffish, but let's look in the extended as to why now, because it wasn't like that before. Things have really shifted. So let's see what's happening with them there. And then we will also take another look into kind of what is maybe coming your way with regard to this. So, looking forward to seeing you in the extended. If you want to go there, the link is down below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next reading.